The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on February 14th, 2023.
It's time now for Business Matters, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines with your host, Pam Toompop. Good morning, Pam.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How are you?
I'm very good.
Thank you so much for always helping produce this show today. We really appreciate you. Well, aloha and welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Pamela Toompop, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And today on Business Matters, we are going to talk with Senate President Ron Kouchi. We're going to hear from Ryan Churchill of Pacific Rim Land about two bills that are really important to business this year. And we're going to learn a little bit more about flooring from one of our chamber members, David Daunhauer of 808 Flooring and Granite. But we're going to start off this morning welcoming Senate President Kouchi. In September of 2010, Governor Linda Lingle appointed him to complete a vacant term, and he has been elected to represent Kauai and Niihau since. He has been the president of the Hawaii State Senate since 2015 and previously served as the Majority Caucus Leader, Vice Chair for the Committee on Tourism, and Vice Chair for the Committee on Ways and Means. So he has extensive experience at the state legislature, and this year really opened the session with some great inspiration. Good morning, Senate President Kouchi. So glad to have you on the show this morning.
Glad to be back. It's been a while.
It has. Well, and we will have you on whenever you're available. We love to get updates, but I know how busy you are. You know, we get to talk a little bit this morning just before the show about the opening ceremonies, and one of the things that I really cherished was that you came out during the session and shared Malama Hawai'i, and you said it's going to be the theme this session. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about Malama Hawai'i and what it means to you and how you see the Senate planning to engage the youth through Malama Hawai'i, which you were already doing during the session.
Sure, happy to. Well, we had a long time out during COVID as far as visitors, going to the beaches and other recreational areas. Residents started going back to places that they were avoiding because of, the crowds that were there. And I think we had some new visitors with the discounts and value that was there, people who had saved up money because we were all locked down that maybe had not saved up for a Hawaii vacation, as our normal visitor. And when they started coming back, there wasn't, in some instances, a lot of respect for the host culture, and people were getting up close and violating the Endangered Species Act, taking selfies with, the Hawaiian monk seals. And, those are federal offenses. People were being charged based on the evidence that they provided themselves in social media. And when we took some surveys of the residents and their attitude towards tourism, it was clear that they felt the visitor needed to be better educated about Hawaii, our traditions, the Hawaiian culture, what we are like, and, also that visitors need to pay for some of the impacts they create on the natural resources. With that as a guide, we looked at the park reservation system as a starting place. We had the floods in Kauai in 2017 or 18, and we had Hanalei Haena cut off from the rest of the island, and gave us a chance to say, instead of 3,000 plus visitors a day at KA Beach, we are going to take 900 a day. We put a checkpoint. You have a reservation system per person to enter, and parking fee for anybody driving a vehicle. And, we weren't really concerned about making money. We were concerned about managing the resource. Well, lo and behold, we generated almost $1 million a year in the fees. And then when COVID hit and people were flocking to Wainapanapa, the Ways and Means Committee, in prior year had visited Kauai and looked at KA, so they brought the reservation system to Wainapanapa. And Wainapanapa last year generated about $3.5 million in fees. And last May, I believe it was, Diamond Head State Park started the reservation system there. And the latest data I had gotten was $900,000 in revenue for the month of October. So it looks like, Diamond Head could generate in the neighborhood of $12 million. So with those three programs, we're approaching $16, $17 million a year. And, we lifted the cap from $10 million or $12 million to $15 million for DLNR's ability to spend the fees they're collecting. And so they've been out recruiting more enforcement officers. We're looking at making the investment in improving trails, working on restrooms, and getting other employees on board that would be necessary for the maintenance of our recreational facilities for both our visitors and our, residents alike. We had a conference here, and we engaged with Future Farmers of America and the Farm Bureau, and we had almost 1,200, people here in December for a national conference of state government leaders. And on Saturday, our service project was to have them plant some type of a tree and put it in the potted plant, put their name on it, and as we battle with climate change, the best thing we can do is have more plants, especially trees, dealing with the carbon dioxide emissions. And, so for how we go forward, I think that there is, tremendous sensitivity to the things that we are doing, that they wind up with, positive result for the resident as well. And we're not all geared to just marketing and getting tourists here. We need to, make sure, when they get here that they're paying for their fair share of impacts, that we have quality facilities that our residents can continue to enjoy. And then all of the airlines have been producing in-flight videos. So before they land, it talks about Malama, Hawaii. When you get to the rent-a-cars or the hotels, we have, pop-up things there, videos playing at the baggage claim at the airport. So we're doing our best to try to make sure that the visitors are sensitive to the things that we value here in Hawaii. And I guess on opening day I said, the simplest thing, if you invite me to your house, you want me to act responsibly, be polite, and, in Hawaii's case, take my shoes off before I walk in the house. Well, when you come here and you're coming to our house, be as respectful of our house as you would want us to be of yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it really is that simple. And yet it takes a lot of education. But I think I was hearing, and I would love to know, and I know that they're looking at changing how those airplane surveys are taken and looking at new ways of doing that. But I've been hearing that the messaging that is going out is really cherished. It's really resonating with our visitors. Again, we are now also getting back to that more responsible visitor who's respects our islands and comes back because they cherish them. Bless you.
But to that point, Pam, I was on the Kauai County Council from '83 through 2002. I went on several road shows, and travel agents were extremely important back in that period, and they would be doing the packaging. But, the reality was that the travel agents had arrangements with other businesses, so you would be selling prepackaged tours, and the agent was really directing the visitor where to go. Now, most people just go online and purchase their own airline tickets, and now, the independent travelers that we're getting, they're doing research before they come, and they're much more interested in, the things that they normally wouldn't see, and they don't want to necessarily be in a bus with 100 other people, and, they are looking for what are the cultural experiences, and I think that's why in this Malama Hawaii and with what the Hawaii Tourism Authority is doing, we have an even greater emphasis on supporting those festivals and cultural events in our community, because those authentic experiences are the things that the new traveler is interested in seeing, and using the internet search, that these are the things they're searching for on the internet.
Yeah. And to me, I think that we can do, that's part of it too, is I'd like to really see that some of that Malama Hawaii messaging and the messaging, that those videos and the things we want to share, and I know it's all possible, it's just how do we transfer it over. I take people on farm tours who come to visit Maui, and I share a lot of different farmers with them, and they're small farm operators, but telling amazing stories about the importance of the coconut to Hawaii and how it arrived here and how it's been used here. And, they just have these amazing stories. But for them to be able to share some of those things, to get more businesses engaged in sharing the Malama Hawaii message.
Yeah, and for that, Ann, I know one of the questions you had emailed me about how you host the annual Made in Maui Festival in support of local manufacturing. So something that I've been trying to get DLNR to do, and I might add unsuccessfully trying to get them to do, is put a link or two up on their reservation website that would take them to purchasing of made in Hawaii products. And DLNR has taken the position that they are, or their mission is to run and operate the parks, and they don't want to over commercialize their website. And so in a joint hearing a few weeks ago, we had Don Chang, the DLNR chair, and Chad Sarayasu from DBED, John DeFries from the Hawaii Tourism Authority. And the agreement now is that DLNR is going to put a link up on the reservation, website that they have. And when you click on the link, it will take you into the DBED site where they have the Made in Hawaii program. And then that'll take us to, the various Made in Hawaii opportunities. I think also in the resident surveys, there was concern that so much of the profit was leaving our shores and going back into corporate offices, throughout the country and around the world. And through this links and the Made in Hawaii, online sales presence, I believe would ensure that the visitor dollar is being spent here, in Hawaii, and supporting our local entrepreneurs. And, the one thing that I know is factually accurate is during COVID, without brick and mortar stores being open, a lot, most of our people with the Made in Hawaii products all develop their online platforms and distribution to get their products shipped out to people, and so they're already equipped to do this online purchasing, and I think that this is going to be a tremendous opportunity to showcase the many great things that are made here in Hawaii.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and yeah, which is always a good thing for us at the Made in Maui County Festival. I mean, some of our festival vendors who've been with us for years did a tremendous job. During COVID, they, when things slowed down, they really hunkered down and focused on their online presence, and in some cases generated so many new contacts and other buyers.
Absolutely.
That they weren't able to do the festival, which is a good thing. We had plenty. There's always newcomers. We also saw a cadre of new people coming up and starting businesses as new manufacturers. So, we always have a great rotation. But I think we have a lot of room to expand on that, as you said. And I think that's a good start, because DBED does also promote has promoted the neighbor island, all of the Made in Hawaii activities and Grown in Hawaii, which is nice. If that's going to be the link to also include the Grown in Hawaii stuff, that there seems to be separation of departments with Farm Bureau and DBED. But it's blending now because we're doing value-added manufacturing. So I think that's a good start. And the other thing is, and I've been talking about and talked about at the HTA conference, is our airports. The first place people, if they don't come in on the cruise ship, right, the first place they see us and the last place they see us is our airports. And I feel like there's got to be a way. I know we make money with airport advertising, but some of that advertising really could be used to promote some of our small local companies.
Well, the problem with that, and also when the governor talked about the green fee, is that other nations or countries have instituted that, and it's federally levied or nationally levied for the national government. Our airports are governed by the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, and under federal law, any money generated at the airport needs to stay within a 1 mile radius of the airport. So you could improve some infrastructure leading up to the airport and anything on the airport, but it cannot go off of the airport by federal law. And that's why, I was looking at the reservation system and the link to the Hawaii-made products as the way to engage our local businesses. I think, as people were saying, how we have not been able to diversify our economy and we're so dependent on tourism during COVID. But when we did the assessment of our strengths and weaknesses, our distance from marketing, the shipping cost is just an obstacle that is too difficult to overcome to be a large manufacturing base. And so at this point, I think what it taught me is that, tourism is what we have, but how do we make sure that, the local residents here, the local businesses, get a bigger slice of that tourist dollar? And this is certainly one way to ensure that.
Absolutely. And our local products would not be as successful as they are without our visitors.
No, and I've been on other promotions, and, while I like to toot the horn of Kauai and our local products, but I've been there when, the Maui members who participated worked with Maui Gold, and they were able to give conferees, Maui Gold pineapple, and that was just treasured. And then what great advertising as they go home or as they, walk around and, eat their pineapples and talk about what a great experience. I mean, that's invaluable marketing that we have, the Anthuriums from the Big Island, Proteas, and, I always like to bring out the 2-pack of Kauai cookies. But each of us have great, unique items, that work. And what's going to be interesting is that, we're going to have the 7th annual after time out for several years, Hawaii on the Hill, the second week of June with the Chamber of Commerce's across the state of Hawaii. I know businesses like Salty Wahine on Kauai certainly increase their online sales and have a much bigger market presence because of that participation. And as you know, from a few businesses on Maui, it's really grown on the Maui participation. And so it just tells me that that's another successful way where Senator Hirono, who sponsored the idea, has found other ways to bring attention to the great products that we're making here in Hawaii. And, at the nation's capital, having people, senators and their staff from all over the country come and see what we have. It is one of the most in-demand tickets at the Capitol.
It's funny because they're all given limited number of tickets, and all of our congressional leaders are, we've got staffers and congressional leaders all vying to get in and get tickets, and it is a wild couple of hours. We packed the largest conference room.
Had the fire marshals outside and said 5 people left, so 5 more can go in.
Yeah. It's a long waiting line, and they're given leis, and they really get immersed in Hawaii for a few hours with Hawaiian music and great food from across the state, and leis and cocktails, and it's really something to see. But yes, I'm so thrilled we'll be back again this year. I'm really excited about it. That is such a wonderful program. Well, Senator, we've got just a couple minutes left. Is there any other bills that you'd like to talk about this year?
We're going to put another significant commitment for affordable housing. Mental health funding continues to be important with effects of COVID. I was watching Hawaii News Now early this morning. They're talking about a national survey and depression in young girls, and how many of them have contemplated, at least at one point, suicide. So that's an important area. Homelessness continues to be at the top of the
Maui,
list.
We had a unit called the Molokini unit. And
and then with K through 12, for those who aren't going to college, to have great vocational opportunities.
And I will say that unit saved my son's life years ago.
That's great.
We really do have that, and I do a lot of work in that area on the side and help it where I can. And I also find there's a lot of folks who are homeless or have mental issues, and literally to even be considered for treatment in the state hospital, they literally are being told that they have to have a felony conviction. And I don't know why we need to have a felony conviction to get people mental health assistance. So we should be trying to keep them out of the prison, but how do we get them the mental health they need? So I don't know if some of that surplus can be used for that, but I'm glad that you're working on it, because housing and addressing our mental health needs are top priorities across our state, and something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, and then in the homeless, we're continuing to fund Ohana zones, which allow individual counties to come up with a plan that makes sense for that individual county, and it's not a one-size-fits-all program.
Yeah, I think that's really important, too. Especially, with all the weather we've had. We need to get roofs over people's heads and get people some help. Well, it's always a pleasure, Senate President Kouchi, to have you on with us. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'd love to have you on again. We'll check in.
All right.
I'll check in next month and see how things are going, and we'd love to have you anytime you're available to join us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. As we say aloha to President Kouchi, we're going to take a brief message from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
Welcome back to Business Matters. And as we wait for our second caller, Ryan, to call in, Pam, what else is the Chamber looking out for at the legislature this year?
Oh, my goodness. We are working on so many different issues, and Senate President Kouchi talked about a few of them. Let me just start with one for Maui County. Of course, affordable housing and rentals, there are many bills, and we are ringing in and tracking over 200 bills right now. I'm told approximately 3,000 bills were introduced, so affordable housing and rentals is top of mind. We're watching things, and we're going to talk to Ryan Churchill about some bills that will help businesses, but we're looking at bills to deal with internships. We're looking at bills to help businesses find workers. We're addressing tax issues and maybe some tax relief, but also certain increases. So there's a lot of things flying. Affordable housing and rentals is top of mind for us. And again, addressing the homelessness and mental health challenges that people are facing is critical at this time. So lots of things going on, and then there's individual bills that are dealing with everything from the liquor department to different ways that people are, there was a bill introduced really for Oahu, but that has impacts on the neighbor islands on vacation rentals. So there's a lot of things happening that just, if you're not watching, can be a challenge. And so we encourage people, if you have an issue that you're seeing in your industry or your business that's affecting your business, please call the Maui Chamber of Commerce. You can reach us at 808-244-0081. Leave us a message or email us at office@mauichamber.com and tell us, some of the measures that you have concerns about and would like to address. Or something that you're very positive about and you're supporting wholeheartedly and just want to make sure it's on our radar. That really helps us as we go through the session.
Okay.
We usually end up tracking about 400 bills, so it's a very busy time, and we just want to be here and helping out our community.
All right, Pam, we have Ryan on the line now.
Fantastic. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Ryan Churchill. We're so glad to have him join us today. He is the president of Pacific Rim Land and started in this position 8 years ago. Previously, he worked in various positions at Maui Land and Pineapple Company and at Kapalua Land Company. And he has been, speaking of legislative activities, working on two bills that are really important to us. Aloha and good morning, Ryan. How are you today?
Great. Good morning, Pam.
So glad to have you on the show. Let's talk about Senate Bill 1437 and House Bill 1362, which is their companion bills. Can you tell us a little bit about how you helped work on these bills and bring them about?
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me this morning.
My
these
pleasure.
two bills came about basically 28 or 29 other states have passed similar legislation. And what it does is it allows pass-through entities, which are typically LLCs or S corporations, so a lot of small businesses. And if you have an LLC out there in Hawaii and you pay more than $10,000 in state tax, you should pay attention to these bills. But in Hawaii, the tax liabilities of these so-called pass-through entities pass through the individual members to pay their tax directly on their personal returns. Now, prior to 2017, the federal government granted a deduction with no limit for state income taxes paid by individuals. So again, when you filed your IRS return, there is no limit on the state income tax deduction. However, in 2017, under Trump, with the enactment of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the federal government capped that deduction to $10,000 per year. So this limitation significantly impacted individual owners of these LLCs. It did not impact C corporations, but impacted LLCs by capping the amount of state tax one can deduct on their federal return. And so, you want me to continue on, Pam? Or?
Yeah. So tell us now. That was a great challenge. And then now that other states have made the switch, tell everybody how these two bills are going to take no money out of our state. We lose no money here, but give us great relief at the federal level.
Yeah. So in 2020, the IRS. In a notice that they issued, that they would not apply the cap on deductions claimed by the entity itself. In other words, if the state tax is paid by the entity or the LLC and not the individual, then there is no cap on the amount of the deduction. So what this notice did by the IRS, opened the door for states to change their tax laws to allow the entity to pay state taxes directly, therefore allowing full deduction of state tax on the federal IRS return. So since the IRS opened that door, 29 states have enacted this type of pass-through legislation, including the big states, California, New York, Illinois, Arizona. 9 states don't have income tax, and 6 states, including Hawaii, have pending legislation. Most of the legislation was passed for effective tax year 22, and so Hawaii is kind of a year behind on this, but is part of 6 other states proposing legislation. There is no impact, like you said, Pam, to the state tax revenue. The tax is still being paid. It's just being paid by the entity instead of the individual. The benefit comes to Hawaii taxpayers because on their federal return, then there would be no $10,000 cap. So again, the legislation has become commonplace across the country. Hawaii, has jumped on board. We've had the support of Finance Chair Kal Yamashita, who's introduced this bill, along with our fellow on the Senate side, Gil Agron on that side introduced the bill. And so just want to get out there to small business owners to track this bill, and hopefully it'll pass this year.
Well, we are wholeheartedly supporting it, and I really want to thank you for making me aware of the work that had been done to sort of bring Hawaii up and along with the other states who are supporting their business sector by giving them this tax relief. And again, I think it's really important for people to understand. I mean, this is one of these great bills that's really a no-brainer bill. We still keep our state taxes, yet that the taxes paid here is a deduction on your federal taxes. So
yeah, correct. And this, the bill has passed out of the Economic Development Committee on the House side. Will also be heard in the Finance Committee and on the Senate side at Ways and Means.
Yeah. So let me remind everybody about the bill numbers. It's Senate Bill 1437, so SB 1437, and the companion bill is House Bill 1362, so HB 1362. And Ryan, do you know when it's coming up next?
Could be as early as next week for the next hearing. I'm not sure specifically. And also, just wanted to add, Pam, I'm not a tax professional, so I'll give you that usual disclaimer: talk to your tax advisor. But if you're listening, you should talk to your tax professional and ask them if they redid your federal return with this legislation in place, how much money you'd save on your federal return, and it will likely be significant.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. That's really, it's really important. But I do want to say, folks, that these are two bills that you want to look up, you want to learn about, you want to call your accountant and ask, what does this mean for you? I'm sure your accountant is aware of it. If not, they could reach out to the Chamber of Commerce, and we can send them some information on it. We've been sharing information with our Maui Chamber of Commerce members and ringing in on bills, and on this bill, or these, because there's two of them. But if you're not familiar with how to ring in, one of the things that you can do is you can go to capital, CAPITOL .Hawaii spelled out .gov, and you'll get to the state capitol, and you'll get to where you can look up the different bills. You can learn about the different hearings that are being held, and when the date is announced, and we'll be putting it out through the chamber as well. We'll be telling people about when the hearings come up. You'll get our members get a notice, and then they can go to capital.hawaii.gov. You can do like a one-time registration to be in the system, so that then the next time you want to go to a hearing, it's really easy to testify after you've already put your name in, and you can either just submit online, or of course you can also sign up if you get your testimony in 24 hours in advance. You can also sign up to speak during the hearings and have your voice heard, because this is one of these great measures. There's a lot of support behind it, and really want to commend you, Ryan, and your team for recognizing that this would be a great advantage to Hawaii, and pursuing this and trying to encourage our state to get caught up with some of the other states that are doing this. And I'm hoping that it's just flying through. We're hoping to see it just fly through this year.
Yeah, we have some work to do with the Department of Tax on it, but hopefully it will get through.
Yeah, so folks, just as Ryan's sharing this, the Department of Taxation gets to ring in on bills that have tax implications, and sometimes everybody feels overworked, or that, we know they've got a lot on their plate. But this will help many businesses, and it's a help. There are many bills this session that are meant to help businesses and are going to help businesses, but often we have to give a little in one area to give a little in another. So the state has to, in offering tax incentives, lose a little bit of money in one area to offer an incentive in another to drive other things that are critical. So this is one of those options where we're not losing anything. So, Ryan, is there any more that we didn't get to cover yet, or that you'd like to share on the two bills?
Oh, I think that covers it. Again, if you're a LLC or S corporation and pay more than $10,000 in state of Hawaii tax, pay attention to these bills.
Yeah. So SB 1437 and HB 1362. These bills are very important to you. If you're listening and you can't write it down, just call the chamber office. Amber, our legislative manager, will be happy to help you. And there are some great materials that Ryan has shared with us that we can share with you as well. This is one of those things that if you've never rung in before, this is a good time to start, because it's a very positive bill, and really there's no reason why we shouldn't see this kind of relief in Hawaii. So, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for taking everybody through these two bills. We're here, so we stand ready to serve, and we're ringing in, and we'll keep sharing this. And by the way, we were getting other calls from other groups saying, make sure you know about this. So you've done a great job getting out there and doing the groundwork to let the community know. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks for having me, Pam, and thanks for all the great work the Chamber does.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and you have a wonderful week.
All right, see you soon.
Thank you. Aloha. Well, when Ryan brought this to my attention, I was floored that it was just such an exciting opportunity. And sometimes we don't hear in our community about some of the work being done by state to state, but when you have a company like Pacific Rim Land and Goodfellow Brothers, who operate in many states, do work in different states, they've got a broader view, and it was really wonderful to hear how they identified this as a good opportunity for Hawaii and have worked to engage others in this effort. So, Gary, do we have David on with us this morning?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
Okay, good. All right. Well, while Gary is calling David, it's our phone lines. We've got limited phone lines, but we quickly connect with people as soon as we move from one guest to the next.
Oh, good.
But let me tell you a little bit about David. David is a chamber member, and he is with 808 Flooring and Granite, and he has owned that company for, he's been in the industry and for 32 years. I don't know how long he's owned the company, but he's been in the flooring industry for 32 years and has recently expanded his product line to offering tile and granite. And they serve both residential and commercial customers in Hawaii and have a variety of offerings. And as someone who recently had to do some flooring in my house, you know, there's so many choices these days and so many things to think of, or at least for me, because we have dogs and the dogs live in the house like our children. And so lots of things to think about what are some of the best choices in flooring. So we're excited to have David on with us this morning.
Yes, Dave is on right now.
Hey, aloha, David. Welcome to Business Matters. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
It's my pleasure. Now, I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. Let me have you talk for just a moment so we can maybe adjust the sound level.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, much better. Okay, thank you, Gary. So I was just giving an introduction and saying that you offer... How long have you owned the business?
I've owned this business over probably 30 years. I mean, I've been in the flooring trade for over 32 years. I started off as Dave's Carpet and then transitioned into 808 Flooring a few years after that, and then have been 808 Flooring.
Fantastic. I was saying you're now offering tile and granite.
Correct.
And that you serve both residential and commercial customers in Hawaii. So can you tell us a little bit about your product lines?
Our product line for the flooring, we do everything from carpet to ceramic to granite and everything with the cabinetry. We have a lot of Mohawk products in our showroom, which is basically stain resistant, really good for pets. I heard you talking about your pets and wear of carpet. So yeah,
awesome.
The product lines we have Mohawk, stain resistant, and then we have also a big line of LVP products, which is waterproof flooring, which is the rage nowadays. Everybody's transitioning into waterproof flooring, LVP flooring.
Yeah, all you need is one water heater to leak, and suddenly you're going to want waterproof flooring.
Exactly. You know, it's good. I think the way the industry is going is for continuity. So, you know, you don't have to have ceramic tile in your kitchen and your bathrooms and then have a nice wood-looking floor throughout the rest of your house. You can have everything looking exactly the same, so you get that continuous feel and makes your space feel a lot bigger and open.
You know, that actually is what we went with, is sort of that all the same flooring in the majority of rooms that we were renovating at the time. So what are some of the considerations as people are looking to, if you're building a new house, we've got many people building a new house right now, we've got so many renovating, and of course you serve both commercial and residential customers, but what are some of the, I'm sure the considerations are a little different for the different markets, but if you're a resident, what are some of the things that you should be thinking about when considering redoing or choosing different flooring materials?
The number one thing you should be considering is the use of the space. Let's say you're renovating, you have a rental in the back, so it's going to be a rental property. It's not really residential, even though it is a house. It's going to be generating income, so it's a rental property. So you want to look at the wear of the product, how dense the carpet is, the stain resistance, the type of padding you put in, as well as the warranties, because warranties are different. They vary from a residential house to a commercial property. So those are things to look at as well when you're purchasing your material.
Wow, that's good information to have. And how have you been doing with supply chain issues? Are you able to get things in?
Yeah, we are. We do. I mean, during COVID, we had a lot of our big project work going on, so we had stuff sitting in our warehouse waiting for long periods of time, but we order things ahead of time just to make sure we wouldn't have that issue.
Yes.
But the lead times we've noticed are a lot longer than they used to be back in the day. You know, it used to be where you could order your stuff from Oahu and get it in a week, and sometimes it's not there, so you're waiting a couple months. So that's been an issue.
So, folks, if you're even thinking about a project in the next couple of months, you might want to be checking out their showroom right now. Get stuff in early, because. But the good news is it seems like it's pulling back a little bit, not as bad as we saw when we had the really long delay times, but still there's still some delay. But that's great that you're ordering early and helping people buffer that.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we try and make sure that when people come in to look at product and purchase product, we get a couple different options from them, so we can let them know, hey, option number 1 is so far away, option number 2 is so far away. That way we can give them some options as opposed to just, hey, we have this right now, you have to buy this. I don't want to be that person that's high-pressure selling somebody on something they don't know just because we have it right now. It's better to come in early and get exactly what you want. That way, you know, you're living with it for a long period of time. You're not changing it out in a year.
Absolutely, and very good point. It's not like the bedspread that you're going to change out in a year. It's something that's going to last for a really long time. And I always love going into the showrooms and taking a look at the different products. And you've really got so many different things to choose from. What do you find? Is there something that's, I don't know, in flooring? Is it really more personal choice, or are there new trends in flooring now? I know some of the planks that used to be old, real wood planks, and now we're going into things that are made out of a lot of high-end plastics.
Yeah, correct. I mean, again, there's markets for everything, but I think the market right now is steering greatly towards the waterproof products because they tend to be more durable than, let's say, a bamboo floor or a hardwood, depending on the application, of course. So everything, and then again, you've got the colors. Hawaii is notoriously a little bit behind the mainland color-wise, so the grays are coming in over here, where the grays have already phasing out in the mainland style-wise, color-wise.
Yeah, isn't that it? They used to always say, like, our design fell behind California by a period of time. I remember hearing that years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So tell people a little bit about your showroom and where people can find you.
We're online at www.808flooring.com. Our showroom is at 530 East Oahe Way in Waikapu. Just come down to the very end of the cul-de-sac and drive right around the building and come upstairs. We've got our carpet and laminate showroom right here. We've got our granite shop in Central Maui Base Yard for the granite and the tile portion of the flooring people are looking for. So we're kind of spread out a little bit, but we kind of keep it to where the granite's in one section and the carpet and the LVP and the woods are in another section.
No, but that's fantastic. And people can look online and start seeing things online and start getting a sense of that. What are the hours that you're open, and are you open on weekends?
We are not open on weekends unless it's an appointment. If somebody wants to make an appointment for Saturday, then we can accommodate that, of course. But we are normally open Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Oh, that's awesome. And what are some of is there any new hot product or color trend? You mentioned that we're still seeing some grays, but I'm sure we can order different colors.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you recommend? Are there new trends that you follow and show people, or things that you stock more of in the warehouse for different seasons?
Yeah, we normally we have material stocked here, but again, we try and make sure we try and push the market towards picking exactly what you want. Come in early. That way you're getting exactly the product that you want for the application that you're looking for. As far as trend-wise, excuse me, a lot of laminates, LVPs, the waterproof flooring. There's been a lot of grays. The neutrals are still there, of course, the light beiges. Different bevels for the planks. You've got a deep bevel, which you can see every single plank in the floor, all the way to a micro bevel, which you can barely see the plank. So depending on what look you're going for, if it's more of a cottagey feel or more of just one continuous, basically looking more like a real wood floor if it was sanded and varnished all the way through, as far as carpets, we're getting a lot of grays, still a lot of the beiges for the neutrals. Everybody's still trying to stay neutral, but I've seen a lot more patterns, real small patterns, not really distinct patterns, and a lot of multicolor carpets, again, to help with the staining and the tracking that might be happening in the particular areas that the carpets are being put in.
Yeah, so it hides that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So when people come into you, what should they be prepared to have with them? Should they have all their measurements and square footage?
We can come out and do the measurements. We offer a free measurement and estimate. So all we really need is an address. If you're really serious about shopping, bring some pictures of your space. Bring some color swatches of your maybe even we've had people bring in throw pillows from their sofas because they want to kind of match the fabric or the look of their sofa. So it's good to bring in if you have paint colors. If it's a new installation, new house, and you're excited about putting a brand new floor in, bring your paint palette. Bring what your color scheme is, and we can help guide you as best as we can through the color choices and the pattern choices.
Yeah, I think that's great, such great consulting, and it's good for people to know that you do that. What are some of the other things people don't really know about you or your service that they should know about?
Well, we've been on Maui over 30 years. It's sales and service oriented. My father's been here. He owned Lane's Carpet. He was here since 1973, and I purchased his company a short while ago. So we're really home-based, family-based, family-run business. You know, I try and tell everybody that I work with that, look, you're going to see your customer in the mall. You're going to see him in the store. So you want to make sure you're providing the best service and quality product possible because you will see that person. And word of mouth is huge. You know, Maui's a small place, and word gets around quick if you're not up to par or if you're doing a good job. And that's what we strive to do, is make sure every customer is happy. And if there is a problem, we make sure we take care of it right away, and it's a second opportunity, you know, to satisfy that customer, which we'd rather satisfy them the first time.
That's the way to be. I absolutely love that. Well, David, I'm so glad that you came on and shared with us about 808 flooring and granite. Give everybody the website one more time.
www.808flooring.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure to have you. Thank you. Well, that's all the time we have this morning for Business Matters, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. I'm Pamela Timpot, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you blessings and best wishes for a beautiful Maui day. Aloha.